All right, favorite second round picks. Let's just kind of rapid fire through a few things at the end here.
First one is EJ Liddell, 41 to New Orleans Pelicans. But the one I want to expand on here, I love Ryan Rollins, 44th to Golden State. Sometimes second round stuff works, and the Warriors have already said, Bob Myers has said publicly that they slotted Ryan Rollins as part of their 15-man roster. Like, they loved him. They had him significantly higher. They couldn't believe he fell down as much as he could. That kind of scoring and creation from a combo in that system with the pieces that are around him, I really, really liked. I had him significantly higher. I knew he wasn't going to be a first round pick, but still in my first round board grade, I had him like
Yeah.
24th overall. So I love the pairing between those two.
Yeah, I had him at 31, 32, something like that. I had him much higher than where they took him. I really like Ryan Rollins. I love his creativity. I love his ability to get his own shot. His finishing around the basket, his length, his mid-range game is very high level. You just need to shoot threes, and there's nowhere that's going to do a better job of teaching that, I would imagine, than the Golden State Warriors. The EJ Liddell thing was weird. I had gotten some indication in the 12 hours before the draft started that there was a bit of a worry from the Liddell camp that like they weren't sure how this was going to go. You know what I mean? Everyone had a mock as a first, but they weren't like 100% there. And I ended up moving EJ down to 27. I'd been told like Miami, he did like him, but like whether or not they would take him was like totally up in the air. But I'd kind of heard that like that could be a thing, that like his name was falling a little bit, and that is surprise. I was surprised by that. I was surprised by how that worked out on draft day, if only because he is versatile. He is a guy who defends at a reasonable level, and he shot well this year at the very least, on top of being an All-American. Like, I've never been quite as high as like the consensus community on EJ, where they had him as like a lottery pick throughout the year. I never had him, I think, as a top 20 guy, like at any point, period. So I was never there, but I was also surprised that he ended up falling out of the top 35 even.
Yeah, I had him 21st, so a big dip for me. So then who is your second round guy that you liked, either fit or player?
Oh, I love Jaden Hardy to Dallas. Like, look, he was the highest ranked player on my board. He was the only guy in the top 20 for me that didn't go in the first round. Yeah, I mean, Jaden Hardy going 37 to go play with Luka Doncic, be like, second side scorer, and hopefully, learning to become a little bit more unselfish, because I think everyone in Dallas, when you're playing next to Luka, has to have a level of unselfishness, right? I think it's a good developmental spot for him, and we'll see if it works. Like, Dallas, I think, was probably ecstatic. Like, I had heard pre-draft that like Jaden Hardy was very high on Dallas's board at 26 if they didn't move 26 in the Christian Wood trade.
Yeah, that second side score, I was just looking to confirm. It's sort of what they wanted out of Tyrell Terry, and it didn't work out. But to kind of have that guy off the ball to score and take some of that pressure off of Luka, that's not a bad one.
And on top of it, we don't know what is going to happen here with Jalen Brunson in the next week.
It's going to be expensive regardless of what happens.
To get some insurance for if Jalen Brunson leaves, I think is, Jaden Hardy's not going to be able to step in this year and play, but I think that some longer term insurance for Jalen Brunson is valuable.
And the other one that I thought of after the fact, after the draft show that we did, was the guys that are sort of our real pre-draft upside swingy players. Pat Baldwin Jr. ends up with the Warriors. Peyton Watson was traded, ends up with Denver, correct? Max Christie with the Lakers. Any of those guys stand out that like, ooh, that one might actually work there?
Keep going. We know who you want to get to.
Oh, I already said Josh Minor on the wrong team, so he's on Minnesota. Is that who I'm supposed to get to?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, John Hollinger stole my line. He did the Robin Williams son of a stole my line when you guys did the article on who
Yeah.
had picked. He picked mine out like 14 times in a row. So
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not the conductor, like I'm still on the train. But of that grouping there, you can even say Bryce McGowan's too. Were any that the Patrick Baldwin Jr. screams to me that might work. And any insight on those from you?
That's the most interesting one to me is Pat Baldwin. I don't know what to make of that. And I didn't like Pat Baldwin's tape at all this year. I did not think it was very good. I was worried particularly on defense about his ability to stay in front of like guards. I thought that the Horizon League guards that he played this year burned him pretty badly.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? Like, can you imagine a better fit than Golden State? He is going to shoot. Like, I don't care that he shot 26% from three this year. He's going to shoot it. Like those mechanics are too good. He shoots it too well off of movement. His balance is too good. He's going to make shots. He's center sized. He's like 9'2.5". I don't think he's Kevon Looney in terms of like being able to like change his game. Because for people who remember high school Kevon Looney, like high school Kevon Looney was like a point forward that like brought the ball up and down the court like in Milwaukee and did like all kinds of
definitely like a
stuff.
bruising 3-point forward where you knew like this is never going to work in the NBA. So he did a good job in altering and shaping his game to what was needed, and now played every single game this past season and is an NBA champion. I don't think that Pat Baldwin Jr. necessarily has that body, but there's going to be some altering and shifting for him to get on the court.
Right. And he's not going to become Kevon Looney in terms of just like being tough and being physical and like doing that. But Golden State has now proven that they are able to mold players around this core to fill boxes that they need. And I think that is one of the best potential outcomes for Pat Baldwin at the end of the day. I really think it is. I think that this is as good of a landing spot that Pat Baldwin could have gotten point blank. And I'm really happy that he got it.
I am too. And like a lot of these guys, we want them to figure it out. We're not telling them to not figure it out.
Yeah.
But for a team and a player that like sort of like Golden State just won a championship, they don't need anybody right now, right? They have 3 lottery picks on their bench, not playing in James Wiseman, Moses Moody, and Jonathan Kuminga. But if this guy can push him over the edge and you take a flyer on him that a kid was ranked in the top 10 of his high school class, we mocked in the top 10 to start the season. If he gets his mojo back and can be in these little spurts and those spurts extend into longer runs, it could be worth it at 20th overall. They can afford to take that swing more so than other teams can.
Yeah, totally. Do you have any of them that you want to talk about in that mix?
No, that was kind of like my my grouping there. I like it's the Golden State Warriors win the championship and add 2 picks from 28 to 44 that I really like. I like those ones. I laughed when Isaiah Mobley ended up being on the Cavs with his brother. It's like it's like we're running the play, same play back. But everything that I heard about him is that he was you were a big fan throughout the year. You said you probably end up getting drafted somewhere. I think you had him in the 50s. So maybe
I had him at 40.
Oh, much higher than I did. So I don't know if that's just like a breather off the bench for Mobley to Mobley, or what we got to do there. If it's the Bucks move with adding all the Antetokounmpo brothers, but it did raise my eyebrows when I was like, oh great, here we go. We're putting them together now.